Let's start with the Pythagorean Theorem. If I have a right triangle and one leg is 3, the other's 4, the hypotenuse is 5, I can make a square out of both of the legs and a square out of the hypotenuse, and I find that the area of the small square plus the area of the large square is equal to the area of the hypotenuse square. That allows me to write Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. If I then take an equilateral triangle, 60, 60, 60, each side has a length of h, and I drop an altitude, which is also a perpendicular bisector, it creates a 30, 60, 90 triangle with hypotenuse, h, and since it's a perpendicular bisector, the other side opposite 30 is half the hypotenuse, and then I can find the length of the side opposite 60. Calling that a, I can say if a squared plus b squared equals c squared, a squared plus h over 2 squared equals h squared. I can then solve for a squared by subtracting h squared minus h squared over 4, getting 3/4 h squared, and then square rooting both sides. I get a is equal to half the hypotenuse times the square root of 3. I can then do several examples. So if I have a hypotenuse of 10 in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, side opposite 30 is half the hypotenuse, side opposite 60 is half the hypotenuse root 3. Next, in my 30, 60, 90 triangle, if I know that the side opposite 30 is 7, hypotenuse is 14, side opposite 60, 7 root 3. And finally, if the side opposite 60 is 8, I can set that equal to half the hypotenuse root 3. Divide both sides by root 3, so half the hypotenuse is 8 over root 3, and multiply both sides by 2. The hypotenuse would be 16 over root 3. Next, if I have an isosceles right triangle with angles of 45, 45, 90, each leg could be x, the hypotenuse h, then I can say x squared plus x squared equals h squared. Combine the x squareds to 2x squared, square root both sides, and get the hypotenuse is x root 2. As an example, if I have an equilateral if I have an isosceles triangle, and I have the side opposite 45 to be 7, the other leg is 7, hypotenuse 7 root 2. In this example, the hypotenuse is 10. I can then say each leg is equal to, I take the 10, set it equal to x root 2, solve for x, and get 10 over root 2. 10 over root 2 can be rationalized by multiplying top and bottom by root 2. I get 10 root 2 over 2, or 5 root 2 for each leg. These two triangles are important to remember. If you have a hypotenuse of 1 in a 30, 60, 90 or 45, 45, 90, opposite 30 will always be 1/2, opposite 60, root 3 over 2, opposite 45, 1 over the root 2 or root 2 over 2.